Okay, welcome to this session of our project management course. And today we're going to cover the work breakdown structure. So I'm going to now reference the spreadsheet for this course. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see that. And what we're going to talk about today is a very important part of project management. And this is called the work breakdown structure. So what is the work breakdown structure? Basically, you have all the tasks and responsibilities necessary to complete your project. And what does the work breakdown structure do? It'll break that down into the smallest components. It'll break that down into each of the smallest bits of tasks that you may have to do. So, as you might imagine, for a very complex project, there could be millions of things that you can do, literally, millions of responsibilities. You want to break it down as small as possible. That's the purpose of the work breakdown structure. So it's a planning tool. It's a planning tool to make sure that you have all the tasks in place and you know exactly what the project is going to entail. So in project management and systems engineering, a work breakdown structure is a deliverable-oriented decomposition of a project into smaller components. A work breakdown structure may be a product, data, service, or any combination. And a work breakdown structure also provides the necessary framework for detailed cost estimating and control, along with providing guidance for schedule development and control. So we're going to then integrate this with our work. We're going to integrate the work breakdown structure with the Gantt chart, and we'll see how that's done. So a work breakdown structure is a model of the work that needs to be done. And it's going to put it in a certain hierarchy. So basically, we're going to have some categories. And then after that, we're going to have categories under those categories. A work breakdown structure is an important tool that helps keep an overview of the project. It defines tasks and assigns resources to those tasks. It forms the basis for organization and coordination of the task. It's a bucket of all activities. So the work breakdown structure will take the tasks. This is the project scope. Again, this is going to be based off the statement of work. It's going to identify major and minor activities against the budget and plan. And it's going to help you remember the triple constraints in project management: cost, schedule, scope. Cost, schedule, scope. So generally, this is the breakdown of a project. And here we're going to go down to just 3 levels, but it could be much more. Could be much more. We'll only go down to 3 in this class. But you have phase one, or it could be responsibility number 1. It could be task number 1. And then you're going to break that down into task 1.1 and 1.2. Then for task 1.1, you're going to break that down into work package 1.1.1, work package 1.1.2. And here, for subtask 1.2, 1.2.1, 1.2.2. For subtask 2.1, we'll have work package 2.1.1, 2.1.2. You can see how there's a certain hierarchy of the task. And all of these will build up from the work package to the subtask to the phases. All of these constitutes the tasks and responsibility that needs to be done for the work breakdown structure. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any questions? So here's an example of a breakdown of a project. We have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You can see 1.1, 1.2, and from under task 2, it has these subtasks 1.2.1, 1.2.2, and this task has tasks under this 1.2.2.1, 1.2.2.2, all the way down. And so we'll look at programs that will help us go out there and facilitate the construction of the work breakdown structure. But let me stop here and ask, does everyone understand the hierarchy that we want to try to develop? These are all the tasks that we want to perform for our project. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any questions? That's okay, ask, because as you can see, this is for a small project, and you can see it's getting tedious as it is. For a large project that's complex, this could get very confusing. Very confusing. Okay, so does anyone have any questions?
Did you create this in Microsoft Project?
I will. I'm going to do it in both Microsoft Word and Microsoft Project. So we'll go over examples of those. Now, we saw this. This is what's called the outline form. This is what's called the outline form of the work breakdown structure. Here, we'll have, this is what's called the graphical form of the work breakdown structure. So the graphical form has some real benefits, Unfortunately, as the project becomes more complex, you just can't graph it. You just can't put it into one big picture. It's very difficult to do. So in general, for very complex projects, the work breakdown structure will be in outline form. Right, so we're gonna kind of focus on the outline form. I like this better. I like the outline. I like the graphical form better, but in many cases it's impractical. So here then we have an example, and let me put this at the top here, make this a little bit bigger. Here then, we see a project with a work breakdown structure in the graphical form and the outline form. The graphical form and the outline form. And you can see that even within the graphical form, it's going to follow the same formatting that the outline form does. You have to put these numbers into the graphical form, okay? So that it's going to show what the hierarchy is. It's going to show what the hierarchy is. All right. And again, here we go here. is this another example that I have? Yeah, here's another example where the project is in outline form. And you could see right here, everyone's seeing in about cell B140. This is the WBS code. This is the WBS code. And down here, we're going to integrate, this will integrate then the Gantt chart into, I'm sorry, this will integrate the work breakdown structure into the Gantt chart. So I'll give you an example how to do that. Okay, so that's all I have on this lecture. I'm gonna do some demos now. Does anyone have any questions? And it'll be based off this one right here. It'll be based off that. Does anyone have any questions? All right, so we have all of this here. This is going, we're gonna do this one. So 1.2.2. So let's see if we can recreate this. All right, so let me stop sharing this. And now I'm gonna go into Microsoft Word. So there you are in Microsoft Word. You can see that what I've done is I've already put all the activities there just to try to save some time. Just to try to save some time. And I'll try to save this. No, and I shouldn't say try. I'll save this and I'll put this into our course D2L. All right, so those are all the processes that were in that example. You can go back and look at that example. But now let's create a work breakdown structure. So you have to type, when you're doing it in Word, you have to type in all of the processes in the order in which they need to be completed. And Microsoft Word will go out there and then Microsoft Word will then put the work breakdown structure code, the WBS code, based off this these activities. So we have phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 2 should be implementation. So let's put here phase 2. So here we go. What do you need to do? First off, you need to remember that the process improvement is the project. So we're going to leave that alone. And right here, I'm going to highlight all the tasks that I want to put the WBS code on. Highlight the tasks. Next step, go to Home in Word. Okay, I know that we all have different versions of Word, but go to Home in Word. And now under Paragraph, we want to pick the bullet types that we want to do. So we pick this one. And when I hover over this is called the multi-level list. The multi-level list in Word. Let's click that. And which one do I want to choose? I want to choose this one here. So they have none, and then they have this one with A, B, and C. No, we want this one with 1, 1.1.1, so on and so forth. So choose that one. And you could see now that it's starting to put the numbers there. It's starting to put the numbers there. Okay, so we know then that this is the phase 1. These are the 2 subtasks under phase 1. So for this one, for number 2, then I just want to hit the tab key on my computer, hit the tab key, and see how that becomes 1.1. Okay, and this one I hit the tab key, and there's 1.2. There's 1.2. All right. And then we have the phase 2. We have that responsibility. What is this one going to become when I hit the tab key? 2.1. And for this one, when I hit the tab key, 2.2. And if I had said that the process document is a subtask of the charter, then I would hit the tab key again. And you see how that gives me 2.1.1. 2.1.1. So Microsoft Word will do the WBS coding for you. Again, you just need to go out there and type all the tasks and subtasks in the order in which they are to be performed. And Microsoft Word will do the rest for you. And again, this is in outline form. We won't do graphical form. It's best to have software to do that. I don't have the software, and you may not have the software either. Any questions? That's I think Kevin's question, and that's doing the work breakdown structure in outline form using Microsoft Word. Any questions? All right. So that's Microsoft Word. That's Microsoft Word. Now, let's try integrating the work breakdown structure into Microsoft Project. So let me stop sharing this. And again, to save time, what I've done is I've kind of got this started. Where did I put that? Right here. I kind of got that started. And here's Microsoft Project now. And with all the tasks, they're all in there already. They're all in there already. Okay. So can you see Microsoft Project now? Kevin, can you see Microsoft Project right now?
Yeah, I can see Microsoft Project.
Good. Okay, thank you. All right. So I'm going to assume then that everyone can see Microsoft Project. So on this one then, we have to go out there and do a little bit of formatting, and we need to know the duration and the predecessors. And for this then, I'm just going to make up the duration and the predecessors. All right. And then we want to see how the work breakdown structure is integrated into the Gantt chart. All right. So for the days then, because this is process improvements for the days, click on that. I'm going to make that 0 because that's the start. And then for the research, let's say that the research will take, and I'm just making up these numbers. Okay, so don't worry where the numbers came from. We'll say that's 2 days, 3 days. This one is 2 days. Okay, and we'll make this, let's make this 2 days. And I think this is phase 2, so let me change that. This will be phase 2 implementation. All right, because there's going to be subtasks under that. Let's make that 0 days. And then the charter, let's make that 3 days. And then the process documentation, let's just make that, we'll make that 4 days. Okay, so any questions? And again, make a note to yourself, those numbers that I put in there, I just made those up. I just made those up. Okay, now for the next part then, we have to put in the predecessor. So we won't be too fancy. Don't worry where the predecessors come into play. Don't worry where the predecessors come into play. But I'm just making these up. So for this one, this is the start of phase 1. So for task number 3, the predecessor is 2. And for task number 4, the predecessor is 3. And how about this then? For phase 2, the predecessor is 3. And then for the charter, task 6, the predecessor is 5. And for this one, the predecessor is 6. Okay, so there's our Gantt chart. There's our typical Gantt chart. How do we go out there and integrate the work breakdown structure now into this Gantt chart? Now, unfortunately, when we integrate the work breakdown structure into our Gantt chart, we won't get the WBS coding. We won't get the WBS coding, but you should be able to see the hierarchy based on the position or the indenting of each of the individual tasks. Okay, so you have to, on your computers, you have to find the indent. Okay, I gotta move this somehow. Hold on for a second. Let me stop sharing for a second. Okay, and then right here in Microsoft Project, these arrows. So everyone for Microsoft Project is going to have different arrows, okay? But you have to find the indent left and the indent right. And I hope I can show this. This thing is getting in my way. Okay, so I have this project here. Okay, remember this is 1.1. And so I want to indent that. So I'm going to hit the indent key to the right. And it does the indent for me. So this is 1.1. Now this one is going to be 1.1.1. So I want to indent twice. This one will be, and look at what's happening now to the bar charts now. Okay, and this one is going to be 1.1.2. So you can see based off the indenting, that's the indicator of the WBS coding. And boy, I wish they would put the coding in there somehow. And if any of you find out how to do that, please contact me, and then we'll do this again. Okay? And then putting the coding in there. But right now, I don't know how to do it. I don't think there's a way of doing this. And you can watch the YouTube videos. I don't think any of them, when they do it the way we're constructing the work breakdown structure, can put the WBS coding into the work breakdown structure. Okay, so here we go for this one. Remember, this is now 1.2. This was 1.1. This is 1.2. What is this going to be? 1.2.1. This one will be 1.2.2. So I'm going to indent twice here. I guess I did it. And I'm going to indent this one.
You have to indent phase 2 first.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay. And so you could see it gives you kind of a nice breakdown, right? Here's the whole project, the black. This is phase 1 with these 2 subtasks under that. Here's phase 2 with the 2 subtasks under that, so that you know that these are the different phases and these are the subtasks. This is what these are the tasks or the responsibilities that you need to do to construct the work breakdown structure. And this is it for a very simple project. Let me stop here. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any questions on this? That's okay, ask. That's okay, ask.
Professor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you know how to? So when you finish this Gantt chart, do you know how to like copy that specific area and then paste it into Microsoft Word to make it look better on a Word doc?
Let's see. I'm not sure. So I'm going to do a right mouse click. Wonder if I have to highlight the whole thing. Oops. Not really. Not really. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, that's the only problem I have with trying to use Microsoft Project is trying to copy and paste it once it looks good into a Word document. But I'll try to figure it out, and maybe if I figure it out, I'll let you know too, Professor.
Okay, one way I would try it, okay, so I'm going to do this. All right, so I have the whole screen in front of me, and then I'm going to do an Alt print screen. Okay, let me stop sharing and see. I hope this works. And now I'm going to share screen on my Word document. Okay, so can you see the Word document now?
Yes.
And then I'm going to do Control V. And unfortunately, you know, it puts everything. You're not going to, when you do it, you're not going to have this bar up here and this right here, because these are specific to Zoom. And you won't be using Zoom when you construct it. So that's one way of doing that. Did you see how I did that?
Yes, sir, I did. Thank you.
So I think this, I'm not sure if that's an answer to your question, but once you do this copy and paste into your Word document, it's set. You can't really format anything within. You can't format anything within now this Gantt chart. Any other questions? Any other questions? So let me stop sharing the screen here. And let me share this. Let me look at the chat here. Okay, so I think I showed how to get this into Word and Excel. So that should be fine. I'm looking at the chat questions. And let me get back to our chart here. So basically then, there are 3 ways of constructing the work breakdown structure. And that's going to be the graphical method or the chart format, the outline, and the integration. You could see how, here comes those black bars here. The integration of the work breakdown structure into the Gantt charts. For the purposes of our class, let's limit ourselves to only the outline form and work breakdown structure. So you're going to get a homework question that's going to ask you to construct a work breakdown structure two ways, and it's going to be using the outline form and integrated into the Gantt chart. So be prepared and start going on and practicing these things. But you can see that this is eventually what your final project, your final product should look like. It won't be this long. It won't be this long, but just make sure that you know how to do it, so that if you can do it for a fairly straightforward project, you can do it for something that may be as complicated as this. If you can do it for a small one, you can do it for a large one. But the question is, can you do it for a small one? Okay, so any questions? I'm going to stop recording.